Aloha, y'all. It is Saturday, ruled by Saturn, hence the name Saturn's Day. The 10th of October, 1010. It's its own little portal. Um, even 2020 plays into this little, but the point is 1010 October 10th. And it is a heart chakra day, blue cosmic eagle, guided by self generation. If you're going to be doing heart chakra or chakra stuffs, tap into your anahata chakra, your heart chakra, and be prepared for the magic. Do the mantras, do the mudras, right? Do the stuff that you need to do, and watch your heart open. Uh, it's a beautiful day here in Colorado. Hopefully, it's nice where you are. Let's go ahead and pull some cards, shall we? Yeah. Tell me where you're all watching from. It's always fun. Ooh, Dalali. We got the Sun. One of my favorite cards in this deck, actually. It's a Bodhisattva of Kuan Yin. But we will learn more about her now. He/her. It's kind of an interesting story. So the Sun. Beautiful art. The Sun is about feelings of pure joy, taking time to play, being alive, dancing and laughing, allowing life to expand and fulfill you, and basking in the energy of the warmth. Very heart chakra day already, right? The Sun, and with the Sun in Libra and the Moon in Cancer, very good feels, if you want to put it that way. The Sun, I celebrate the golden opportunities that life brings. The Sun in summer heralds warmth with its dazzling glow and vibrant source of energy, bringing renewed vitality and freedom. The sheer visceral celebration of being alive. Its intensity unfurls the petals of protection through winter to reveal our beauty, the exquisite process of growing into ourselves. We can begin to awaken from hibernation, the natural conservation of energy, and release our worries and fears into the brilliance of sunshine, allowing its heat to thaw the coldness and deep within our bodies. The Sun is depicted in this card as the thousand-hand Kuan Yin, the East Asian bodhisattva associated with compassion. As a spiritually advanced human being, she is ready to transcend duality, the cycles of life and death, but she chooses to remain in the material world to enable others to also reach enlightenment. She is the most beloved goddess of the Chinese and the bestower of good fortune and success. Her light illuminates the atmospheres. The arms of her rays touch everything, granting them life. The Sun, symbolism, predominantly masculine in form, has occupied a dominant position in many cultures, mythologies, and religions, with its first possible artistic rendition being traced to an anonymous engraving of a sun face at least 10,000 years old in a cave in East Timor, Indonesia. Further east, in Japan, Nihon, the source of the sun, the land of the rising sun, right, Japan. The sun, depicted as the red disk on a white background, is the national emblem venerated for its brilliance, power, and certainty. Wherever you are in the world, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, its daily rhythms mapping out the path of the human soul. Birth at dawn, the power of maturity at midday, and sunset the completion of the journey. The splendor of the setting sun, brilliant oranges, pinks, and reds dance, refract, and melt, reflecting the incredible beauty and mystery of life. We named our daughter Solaria, welcoming the burst of energy, warmth, and light she would shine into our lives. Therefore, the sun bears bountiful gifts, the fruits of our trials and labor, rewarding us for our determination and the struggle and the pursuit of truth. It reminds us how good it is to be alive, filled with the boundless energy and enthusiasm, laughter, bubbling, squeals of delight, children playing, naturally exploring, exquisitely open and expectant, capable of anything. And the heart chakra is, Sun is ruled by Leo. That correlates, but that is the heart chakra. It's like the inner child, kind of being like, hell yeah, right? Exquisitely open and expectant, capable of anything. This energy is infectious, and people warm to you immediately, and you are excited by what they are excited by what you have to offer. Celebrate the light. The Sun is feelings of pure joy, taking time to play, being alive, dancing and laughing, allowing life to expand and fulfill you, and basking in the energy of the warmth. Right? So this is celebratory, this is open, this is big, this is life to the fullest. And even life to the fullest with a Libra sun and moon in Cancer, she could have been enlightened, and she came back to, it's like, do you want to be enlightened or do you not? It's like, oh, out of the moon and Cancer are going to come back and nurture you guys into awakening, Bodhisattva energy, right? It's only fair. I wish it would happen to me, kind of thing. So let's go ahead and pull some more cards. We've got the Father. Interesting. Well, it is a Saturday, so not surprised that this comes up. The Father archetype, number 5. Where you at, bro? All right, the Father. And sometimes we think of the sun as a father of light, like we think of the moon as the mother, father, son, typically. The Father. Keywords: fatherhood, leadership, authority, protection, responsibility, guidance, support, compassion, and control. This is on page 44. Key phrases: the center of power within the family unit. A time for decisive action. A source of strength, not fear. What did your father teach you? Stepping up and taking charge. Guide, instruct, and inspiring confidence. Being interested and supportive, not critical. The buck stops with you. Fulfilling your obligations. Allowing others their autonomy. Sharing all tasks and responsibilities, and stepping out of the Stone Age. Meaning, the father in his ideal form is a strong, confident man who, while not believing that the world revolves around him, like the sun, is very much the center of power within the family unit. He represents the family's core strength and unity. He is stillness within the storm, someone who is active in his role of provider, protector, teacher, and leader. The father is a decisive man of action. He teaches not only by instruction but by example. He is a man of integrity and honesty, someone who keeps his promises and takes responsibility for his actions. He is the provider, not just of financial security and sustenance, but also of order and discipline, which is very Saturnian, very Saturday. And it's both, right? Like I'm loving and kind, moon and Cancer, but I'm also sun and Libra, authority and strict, potentially. He sets the rules within the family home, and they are not just the rules that he sets for others, but the rules he follows himself. Those rules are constants that provide safety and peace within the home, while still allowing all within the space to flourish. He is supportive and encouraging, and also unafraid of play and laughter. Both and, Libra Sun. He inspires curiosity and creativity in others with his positive influence and interest. This is what the Sun does. It inspires creativity and play and life. He is, above all else, interested and affectionate. He wants to know his children and shows that he cares. Moon and Cancer. And even though that's the mother, it's like, I care, I nurture, I want to know. I want to participate with you, Sun and Libra. And Venus and Virgo, it's like, I want to take care of you. I want to heal you and provide. He takes a proactive role in knowing his children's likes and dislikes, loves and fears, and does all he can to have his children leave the home happy, leave the family home as confident, happy adults. So, the Sun in when the Father appears, I conflated it with the Sun. When the Father appears in the present position, it symbolizes a need to step up, to take charge and lead the way. It being a Saturday, we have the authority within us to what? Beautify and rectify the world and ourselves, and how our role, do things for us, do things for others, Libra Sun, and in Moon, a way for nurturing us, like letting the waters of purity and truth wash over us to allow us to step into new power and authority, right? Take charge, lead the way. If you are the head of the household, there are certain responsibilities that come with that position. If your position is one that involves children, it is your responsibility to set a good and positive example, guide them, instruct them, and inspire confidence within them. This is not the time to burden those in your care or charge with your troubles, or children in your care with adult issues. Now is one of those times when you have to carry your burdens alone or share them with someone who is in a real position to help you. If your choice is to delegate, you'll do best by playing an active role in overseeing progress and making sure everything runs smoothly. The Father card says that you are a teacher and guide, and those in your charge have less experience and understanding. Therefore, understand that if you do choose to delegate and something goes awry, you are ultimately responsible for the outcome. The buck stops with you. If there are details or information that you need to provide in order to fulfill an obligation or responsibility to others, now is the time to get everything in order. Venus and Virgo, get it all in order, right? Beautify for beautification. What we do, organize. And with this Mercury in Scorpio, it's about getting to the needs, like the deep needs, right, of ourselves and others. So with the Sun card, one of my favorite cards, that Kuan Yin Thousand-Armed Bodhisattva, we have the power of life fully, right? To be an authority. Saturn's day, right? Like everyone shits on Saturn, and I tend to think of Saturn as Snape and Jupiter as Dumbledore, right? Everyone wants to play with Dumbledore, and Snape's kind of an asshole. But there's a place like she forwent illumination ultimately to come back. It was a responsibility. The buck stops here. She's like, do I stay or do I go now? She's like, I gotta stay. Like, I've got to let these people have the same illumination that I have. That's the caring, kind thing to do. That's the responsible thing to do, right? So let's go ahead and get a Galactic Heritage card. And see what wants to pop. We've got Orion Black League Patterning, number 38. So, as Japanese people would say. Number 38. Orion. Past timeline. Page number 77. So we had page 44 for one, 77 for another. A lot of interesting numbers doubled. It is 1010. Not terribly surprising. Black League Patterning, Past Timeline, Orion. The secret Orion society fighting the negative forces was also called the Black League. Or was called the Black League. They operated covertly and were a major force for inspiration and hope. Inspiration and hope. Very sun card. It's like the sun will also rise, right? You will be cared for. Like, you can rest and rest assured, that kind of energy. This is very much Jedi stuff, right? Okay, here they say, they operated covertly and were a major force of inspiration and hope. A pop culture metaphor would be like the Jedi Knights, or Jedis, from Star Wars. You have had an experience with this group, and this latent tendency of resisting authority or fighting for peace is a deep karmic pattern. Today, it is important that this polarity of us versus them be healed. And how apropos in American politics right now, for sure. Shift your focus away from light and dark scenarios. Begin to see reality in a unified way, with all manifestations being an equal and valuable part of creation itself. The sun doesn't shine on some things and not on others. It shines on everything equally, right? And the Father, a good Father, loves all his children and all the people in his community and stuff equally. There are no favorites. Even though we have a natural proclivity to have, be like, oh, those guys are bad and I'm good and I'm gonna tell everybody about my mission. It's like there's a polarity issue there. We have to transcend that, right? The Black League is a term referring to the resistance groups that formed during the darkest times in Orion. You think of like the Sons of Liberty in American history, or Guy Fawkes Day is coming up soon. It's like that kind of energy for England. These groups were usually run by priests who practiced vegan mysticism and who were also warriors as well, hence the Jedi, spiritual warrior Jedi stuffs. These groups ultimately helped change the consciousness within the Orion system so it could transform, but not without a struggle. They also had to learn the folly of living in polarity, because committing even to, quote, the light only has its drawbacks, which is what you do when you fight darkness, in a sense. The sun doesn't want the moon, right? In a weird sense, it's like I pierce the darkness. There is no darkness with me. And it's like that has its own issues. So even though the Black League and the Orion civilization as a whole eventually transcended polarity and healed itself, many beings who had lives there brought this polarized energy to Earth, and is still playing out here. On Earth, we see it playing out through secret societies who believe they fight for freedom and from tyranny, religious extremist groups who believe they are liberating people, and any group or person who views reality in a polarized way and fights against the side they label as negative. Sometimes we can be too bright for even others, and we're like, I have the truth. And it's like, that's your truth. You've got to be discerning and know that there's many sides to the fucking picture, right? But at the same time, we can come in hot, right, with a truth that burns others to the point of zealousness, and it's not a good look, ultimately. It has its place, but it's not ultimately where we need to end up. This only perpetuates polarity. If you're like, I'm good and they're evil, and you want to fight it, like, you realize you're evil. Like, that's the whole problem with the American Empire. We're like, we'll go free other people, and it's like all the collateral damage makes us look like, a nanny state that gets involved and stuff, and that's what creates jihadists at a level. I'm not saying that's the only reason, but you know what I'm saying? Like, unintentional consequences of going in hot and saying, I'm going to fix everything. I'm going to be the dad, and I'm going to make everything right. I mean, with great power comes great responsibility, but sometimes we can overpower our enemy. That's why, in a sense, loving your enemies is the greatest neutralizer. It's like, know that they are you. Like, don't even create the duality. There is no enemy. The enemy is you, and you are the enemy, and all that kind of level of stuff, right? This only perpetuates polarity. If this card comes up in your reading, it usually comes up with the Orion cards or cards with a similar theme. It is most likely suggesting that you look at your view of reality and how you might see it in a polarized way. It is encouraging you to begin to view reality as a more unified field and that there is a greater balance that perhaps you cannot see. It is asking you to totally transform your life from one polarity to one of polarity to one of unity. So we're getting very polarized things. The sun and the moon, that's one of the polarities. The father and the mother, right? That's another polarity. These are good poles. Like every position has beauty and importance and integrity and all that stuff. But it's like, what can the sun learn from the moon? What can the father learn from the mother? While being true to themselves, honoring and respecting the differences without maybe vilifying other. Even if they feel they're righteous and say, I have the light and the dark, we have to crush the darkness and and even in a Buddhist sense, like the light of awareness and the darkness of ignorance. It's like that ignorance plays a role too. We can't just go shoving the red pill down people's throats and saying we know best. That's not a good look. That's overbearing, right? Like it's like Morpheus was kind of like a father figure to Neo, right? He showed him the light, and Morpheus, didn't stay out of the Matrix. He came back into the Matrix and tried to free people, Bodhisattva stuff, right? But at the same time, he said it's your choice. And he would present it, and he'd say there's people that are so connected that they'll live and die, but he didn't judge them. He wasn't like they're evil. He's like they just don't see. He was coming from a more balanced perspective, right? So let's go ahead and get an animal oracle card. I've got a song stuck in my head. I just saw this girl doing a challenge with cranberry juice and singing a Fleetwood Mac song, and I'll post it in the comments. She did the best version of this song I've ever heard. Her voice is spectacular. I kind of want to hit her up and be like, look, if you ever want to like collaborate, your voice is, it's like if Beach House was more talented singing Stevie Nicks shit. It's crazy. Wisdom, right? This is the sun. Wisdom comes, it's Saturn's day, heart chakra day, the heart of the wisdom of the heart. Saturn can create limits and rules and wisdom in that sense, right? The sun shows illumination, wisdom. The father is the wise one, right? In a very particular way, where it's like, I will, look, Simba, I will show you our kingdom. Wherever the light of the sun touches is our kingdom. But like where that's showing the polarity too, in a sense, where it's like, it's all good where we can see, but where we can't see, that's where fucking the bad guys are. And it's like, nah, bro, that's like maybe not totally true. It's all good. So anyway, the wisdom will show that. The wisdom of the owl, number 4. Open your eyes and see what is really there. For the whole truth, as you may only be seeing part of the whole. That would be the Black League patterning, right? We need to use our hearts, ultimately more than our minds, to shine light into being caring, compassionate, and nurturing and helpful, essentially the father, to all parties involved. Like loving your enemies, right? Because it's saying, look for the whole truth as you may only be seeing part of the whole. Parts. These guys are like, fuck you, bad guys. It's like, fuck Captain Hook, we're Peter Pan and the Lost Boys. And it's like, you realize he was a child once too. You realize the crocodile symbolizes time, and he's lost a hand to time, and he's aging, and you too will age. But that's the whole fucking dichotomy there. It's like Peter Pan and the Lost Boys never age, whereas the other ones are going into adulthood. It doesn't make adults bad and kids good. There's beauty in both. That would be the wise move, right? Through experience, we can gain the wisdom to not make the same mistakes again. Develop your learning and intelligence as education is never wasted. Negotiation, Sun and Libra, is better than attack, right? So the father, through experience, learns how to have a trade to teach his family, to teach his son. It's like, I am a baker, and now I will pass it on to you, or I'm a hunter, or whatever. The son of awareness, right? But don't just think your story is the shit. A lot of our stories are dependent upon polarity, where it's like, I am this because it's against that. Try not to have a foreign against approach. It's not easy. This is why Jesus' whole teaching of like, love your enemies is such a hard pill to swallow. It's not just like a politically correct thing to do, though it is. It's like, this is not easy. We're not very wise naturally, it seems. We fall into our prefrontal cortex and our ego, and we want to fight for us, and that isn't us, and oh my gosh, and all this kind of stuff, right? Like the warring, but we're just hurting ourselves. That's the namaste thing. So, mythos. The Greek goddess Athena was a virgin daughter of Zeus, and it is her name that the Greeks gave to their harbor city, which is Athens. Beautiful, strong, refined, and very rational, Athena thoughtfully encouraged and led her human subjects and mentors her favorite heroes. She thoughtfully, i.e., with the sun, the illumination of awareness, like basically acted as a fathering role model. She's a very masculine woman, or polarity of a woman. Like usually when people think of women, it's like Venus, or stuff like that. I mean, not always, but Athena's my bae. I think wisdom's dope, but it was coming from more of a masculine solar energy, right? It's less lunar, it's more solar. Athena. It's like, what is truth? Blah blah blah. The ancient Greeks loved Athena, and many complex temples were built in her honor. Her mythos states that she was born from Zeus's brow, i.e., from her father Zeus. She was born without a mother, and she's kind of like the third eye popping out. Like if the third eye was just like, yo, I'm gonna anthropomorphize. That's what Athena is. Her mythos states that she was born from Zeus's brow and later sat by his side in Olympus for all decision making. Decision making, Libra's sun. A goddess with many attributes, including weaving, scholastic attainment, intelligence, philosophy, and olive oil production, because it's got to be ethnic because they're Greek. There was very little that Athena could not influence, much like the sun has very strong influence. What doesn't it influence? I mean, even the moon is reflecting the sunlight. Powerful. Her avatar, an owl, symbolizes her reputation for wisdom. It was said that this very modern goddess has a cool beauty, and her eyes were bright and observed everything, like, the sun observes everything kind of on Earth, just as an owl would, giving her a reputation for total watchfulness. In her early form, she was also a goddess of the night. So here's even a polarity, sun and Libra. The sun is showing the sun, and she was a goddess of what? The night. Interesting. So having a nocturnal bird as her avatar makes rational sense. It was said that even as a younger goddess, Athena sought out the whole truth, and so she wanted to ensure that she saw all sides of a situation before she made a decision. Black League patterning is telling us to not just take a side. It's like there's a Sith and there's a Jedi Council, and that's all good. It's a story. Don't just say dad's the best and say fuck, screw the feminine, right? Don't just say the moon sucks and yay for daylight. You got to see the whole picture. She knew owls had incredible vision and did not miss much, so she decided to always have an owl with her so she could keep an eye out on her blind side. This way she would miss nothing and see everything, especially anything that was dark and hidden, which is the sun card showing illumination even in night. And ironically, the whole point of seeing well at night is like your eyes open up more so it can take in more light. The animal. Owls are found on every continent except for the polar caps and are normally one of the apex predators of a region. They famously have big eyes situated in the front of their heads and are mainly nocturnal. As hunters, the ability to perceive prey in low light or darkness is of vital importance, and these birds have evolved to do this very well. The eyes are placed within a feathered facial disc. And a disc is another term for the sun, the disc of the sun. I'm just kind of pointing out all these things that I'm seeing. Facial disc that acts as a kind of capture shape to direct sound into the ears. They do not move much, so the head can swivel almost 360 degrees. That's a solar arc, 360 degrees. In some species. Interesting, a large proportion of owls have an asymmetrical placement of ears, which helps them exactly pinpoint their prey. So sometimes even having the scales off a little helps you get more accurate in that sense. The ears are off like askew, so they kind of get a more triangulation, more effective triangulation. Owls are also incredibly silent, both sitting and in flight. They have neck ruffles that muffle the sound of their head turning, and their wing feathers have serrated ends that enable them to swoop down on their prey with virtually no sound whatsoever. The owl best associated with Athena is the little owl Athena noctua, which was often depicted with her in artwork. These birds have quite a distinctive big yellow eyes framed in startling white eyebrows. Big and yellow, the sun. The use of magic. Here's the magic. The use of owl magic is an ancient practice. The energy is used in cultures as diverse as ancient Greek and Roman to Northern European and First Nations of the Americas. Use owl magic when you seek wisdom in a situation and perhaps are not seeing the whole truth and wish to do so. Wisdom, the light of illumination, right? Being responsible with that wisdom and knowing how to actually use it, properly, not just seeing one side, right? The Black League patterning is like you just tend to take sides of what you're passionate and feel for. It's like, do you have empathy towards those which you don't agree with? The bigger picture, right? Use owl magic when you seek wisdom in a situation. Perhaps you're not able to see the whole truth and wish to do so. Owl magic is helpful when you can't make a decision. Libra bane, sun and Libra, like indecision, or when you need to take a rational view on an emotionally charged situation. That's very Saturnian, right? Saturn's day. So it's like, hey, I need to get the facts, and I need to make a decision that makes sense. That's sometimes why the dad is the hard ass, right? The bad cop. Like the mother is like, I'll make emotional decisions in a cliche kind of sense, and I'm not trying to lean into these myths too hard because we can't, we shouldn't, and they will change as the pendulum of masculine and feminine shift with the zeitgeist. But usually this is the rational kind of like, hey, you know what? Um, Make your bed and brush your teeth and let's do our homework and all that kind of stuff. It's much less like, hey, who wants sweets? Hey, who wants to like take a nap and sleep in? That's more the mother energy, feminine, right? But wisdom sees the truth in both. So there is that. Let's go ahead and in a sense, wisdom is the Holy Spirit, right? Where like in the Christian kind of Trinity, God the Father, Jesus is the child, and the Holy Spirit's the feminine. Um, Wisdom in the Bible is talked to and referred to as a woman, like a beautiful woman or something. Sophia, right, is wisdom. So we've got Damien Hirst, and that even looks like a little sun skull. It's like an illumined skull, which is kind of ironic because I don't know why it's ironic. Saturn, it rules the bones, the teeth. Saturn's day, right? Wisdom comes from what? And Athena popped from what? The brow of Zeus. Am I tying too many things together? Class, do we understand why I'm a weird Gemini who sees all the magic all the time and can't turn it off? All right, so Damien Hirst. This is the last card. Today, in the I Ching cards I pull every morning, I got the 64th hexagram, the last in the I Ching series. This is the last card in this deck, so 2 lasts, ironically. Damien, more money, more problems. Hirst, adult enfant terrible, like a bad kid, is among the most celebrated and lucrative artists of his generation, a winner of the Turner Prize and preoccupied with the subject of mortality. And the sun is a symbol of mortality. It's dark, that's death, and it pops up. It's, oh my gosh, birth, midday, that's midlife, sunset, death, right? That is a sign of mortality, right? Father, time, Chronos, Saturn, gives us an idea of our mortality. There's wisdom in knowing death. Like in knowing death, we can celebrate life, but don't just celebrate life and not death. And don't just celebrate death and not life. Like death cults and life cults are problematic. Find them balanced, Libra Sun. So, aided by scientific and pharmaceutical advances, Hirst's artwork offers wry commentary on humanity's ineffective faith in tech and medicine to heal our existential wounds. And by wry commentary, it might be very Saturnian, Saturday. Among Hirst's trademark flourishes are a suspension of sharks, calves, cowheads, and dissected pigs in formaldehyde, the diamond incrustation of cast human skulls, and the display of so many pharmaceuticals in backlit cabinets. All roads lead to a psychological cul-de-sac. Interesting. So the advice we're getting from Damien Hirst is art and science are for confronting mortality, right? Death. Like the light of our awareness in these processes, however limited and even how skewed, because here's the trip. Some people are like, oh my gosh, we're in this yuga of delusion and we get all these things wrong. We've forgotten the truth. We've fallen away from the light. We're in a dark age and all this stuff. And it's like, that is a very sided position. And it's not incorrect. I do think we're in a kind of a Kali Yuga in a sense, and that we're starting to dawn and our awareness is dawning to a higher truth in that sense, right? But at the same time, we can't just overly identify with it and say, these are bad times and I know the truth. We have to understand that art and science are confronting mortality. We're exactly where we need to be in the process. The sunset isn't any better or worse than the sunrise, which isn't any better or worse than nighttime, which isn't any better, right? They're all different qualities of time. Chronos, Saturn, time, right? And it takes great wisdom, ultimately, to know that. And it's very easy to take a favorite, be like, well, I love sunsets, and I hate when it gets dark. Actually, I prefer very much like sunrises, basically, and sunsets, because it's very dynamic times, right? And I skateboard at midday only because there's no shadows at the skate park, so I don't eat shit on ramps and stuff and have to adjust my eyes. In any event, Damien is telling us art and science, which are ultimately expressions of the heart through the mind, as well as like the emotions, art and science, illuminative tasks are what? To confront mortality, to confront death, to deal with the responsibility of being incarnate. Even if it's just an illusion, we're born, we live, we die. Like that's a level to it. So don't overly commit to that perspective, but know that the sun also sets, right? There's a wisdom in knowing that nighttime comes. And there's a beauty in the nighttime. And then when the sun pops again, I mean, this is why the whole solar cults of Egypt existed. They're like, holy shit, we need the sun. Oh, Ra, thank you. Oh my gosh, where'd he go? like that kind of stuff. Very primitive, but it was fine for when it was. They were making the sense of their reality. They were being as responsible as they could be with the reality at hand to the degree that they were aware to be illumined, right? And in such a way, we have different times on our hands where we can be wise in a different kind of way, which might be information overload, but at the same time, we can see the beauty and the truth of certain cultures as well as their follies, right? So Damien Hirst is saying art and science are for confronting mortality. Like even the art and the science of mummification was for dealing with death in Egyptian cultures. They were like, look, we want you to come back. We're going to put your body in Coptic jars and all this stuff. And we're going to pull your brain out through your nose and do all this crazy shit and mummify you. And it's like that was their science. The art and science of mummification was dealing with mortality. And they had all these myths and rituals and stuff. And whether it's true or not is debatable. It's true as long as they believed it, right? But their illumination, their sun was where they were at. It is what it is. That was their wisdom. We can't judge it too hard. They were being as responsible as they could be at the time. We too are called to be responsible without judging that we're the best shit ever and we're the highest point of the wave. And in a Terence McKenna sense, I do believe that we're the crest of novelty, the apex of novelty to a large degree. That's what human beings are, this like biomechanical computer thing, this like image of God thing. But let's not get too caught up in that. Like we have to be, Sun and Libra. We have to know that we're also creatures, that we're also susceptible to like, we have to come back from the mountain and help others, right? This is the Bodhisattva being like, I can just disappear and go be illuminated. It's like, no, I'm going to come back. Like that's actually the wise move. It shows you care and you're compassionate and you're responsible. Like real responsibility is making sure no man left behind kind of thing, man or woman, right? Including your enemies. Don't just say, fuck them, they're my enemy, and let like the fucking tanks roll over the bad guy. It's like, try to save everybody. They could have a change of heart. You never know. Right? So art and science are for confronting mortality is what Damien Hirst is saying. And I think in a sense, that's why we dissect the world around us, because we don't, it's hard to just be in life at this time. So we want to make sense of it. So we try to figure it out like that. We got Hiddenite. This is kind of funny because the sun has a process of showing itself and then hiding, right? My internet's doing weird things, but of course, getting too hot for the fucking internets to handle. Is what it is. All right, so Hiddenite, though, and I'll try to make this a little more contrastive so you can see what's going on. Hiddenite, what it is, a variety of spodumene. Hiddenite's green aura emanates the warm and fuzzies, which is very sun card. Warm fuzzies, feel good, right? If you tap into the stone's frequency and feel the buzz, you must have a big heart chakra day. Use it. Who needs it? French existentialists, future trippers, bad romantics. Where to put it? Hiddenite, like its cuddly pink cousin Kunzite, should be aimed at the heart. More heart chakra stuff, right? When to use it? When you find yourself stuck in the past or too focused on the future, very Saturnian, very time-oriented, when you're kind of being dad and you're only worried about like, what are my stocks doing and how will I provide for my family and, all that kind of stuff. When maybe we've left wisdom and we've fallen into information, science and art and, trying to confront mortality, i.e. the fear of death. When we're too focused on the future or too stuck in the past. Hiddenite is down to make the most of every moment. Be here now, right? Shine bright like a diamond in every fucking moment. Diamond encrusted Damien Hirst skull. Hiddenite is down to make the most of every moment. If you're in a rut, call on Hiddenite to help you love your way out of it. Super heart chakra stuff. Claim your happy place. And the sun card is very happy. It's this inner child. It's this joy, this love of life, this warmth, right? We need to be responsible simultaneously. Libra Sun, both and. We need to nurture ourselves and others, Moon in Cancer, and get to the truth of the matter, Mercury in Scorpio, responsibly, Venus in Virgo. We can have a lot of fun, but do it well. Do it right. Do it in such a way that others think you're being wise. Don't just drink until you black out. It's like, have a glass of wine, sure, but be wise with it. And this says claim your happy place, maybe getting out of polarity. If you don't think you're in a constant war, if you're just like, this is a big old passion play of fucking polarity and it's fascinating and interesting and I commit to roles, but those roles are not even true ultimately. If you get to this bodhisattva place where you're like, all is one and I sacrifice this, it's like very Christ-like in the sense like the bodhisattva was enlightenment's here and it's like, I'm coming back even for the ignorant, right? Even for people who don't deserve it, right? I'm going to love and provide for all my kids, even the one that's a brat. Or whatever. There's wisdom there, right? And not taking sides. And ultimately, you will have a polarity. You will have an algorithm. Hit me up for readings if you want to know what that is. I love giving people chart readings, and I could tell you what's going on with your algorithm. But at the same time, don't overly identify with it. Geminis aren't better than Sagittarius. We're polar opposites on the zodiac, right? It takes all kinds, and that's what the wisdom is with the Black League patterning. It's saying Jedi are needed just as much as Sith. Don't think Slytherin is needed just as much as Ravenclaw. Don't play favorites. Art and science are for confronting mortality. So that's very Saturnian, right? Mortality, death, time. How can we kind of transcend that? Find your happy place, but also be aware, son of illumination, and be responsible with the wisdom that we've been given as incarnated beings, right? Don't just overly identify with being human and be a natural atheist. That's not a good look. But at the same time, don't be so, spiritually bypassing that you're like, well, I'm a 12D Arcturian and I am not a human. It's like, no, you're a human too, bro. Like, it's not about picking sides. It's about being it all. Art and science are for confronting mortality. That's why we try to figure things out from what our heads. Hopefully we come into greater levels of wisdom, but that is by letting go of what we term correct knowledge and incorrect knowledge. But we do that through what art, expression, and Cancer Moon, as well as science, which is very Saturnian, very like weights and measures and discretion and like, labeling and that kind of stuff. Let's go ahead and play some music. So I did a responsible thing. How's Saturday? I've already set it up, so I don't have to worry about that. All right, so, and because I've got this fucking Fleetwood Mac song stuck in my head, I might just riff on that riff. I can't tell what I'm going to do. It's kind of the magic of the daily card jams. I don't know what's going to happen. But I try to be responsible, like a father card, and yet still have fun, like inner child fun. Sun card. So we're dealing with the sun. We're dealing with father. Let's try to do that. I won't do exactly that song, but I might just make it. It's like a very simple. Wait, chord progression. Did I not? There we go. Let's do this. Oops. So, I played a little kind of like Van Halen there. R.I.P. Eddie Van Halen. Double hand fret tapping, whatever the fuck that's called, is a style he pioneered. He died this week, if you didn't know. So what we have is the Sun card, though. Right, we have the ability to really kick ass, take names, shine bright, come from the heart, have fun, be joyful. It's got to be kind of tempered, though, on a Saturn's day. Like, this is the heart chakra, heart card coming out, but it's a Saturday, so we're having this father time, this restriction, this ability to glow hot like a fire, but not like engulf the forest. Like have a big fire, but like it's not like out of control, right? It has a level of temperedness and a level of control to it. That is the wise move. Don't just, passion's beautiful and light and awareness are beautiful, but do it in a way that's responsible. Do it in a way that's helpful. Do it in a way that's wise. Don't just think your side is right and everybody else is wrong, because that's not the good look. And don't think that you have nothing of value and everybody outside of you is the shit. It's like not a good look. Find that balance, Sun and Libra, and come into a place of true authenticity. You are going to be the highest degree of perfection that you can be. Like, that's the journey of the sun. Like, you start sunrise, midday, sunset. Like, the later parts of your life are going to be glorious in their own way. The beginning of your life is bright and beautiful, and everything's got a different kind of shade to it, right? So just like the sun, we too go through phases of responsibility and hopefully turn into wise, mature people that don't just see enemies with people that disagree with us, right? Science and art are for confronting mortality, so use your mind well, but don't think it defines everything. Ultimately, death will wipe that slate clean, just like night cleanses the day, right? And time does come to an end at some point. That is the wise move. Know that. Don't just attach to the physical. They're spiritual. Don't just idolize the spiritual. You are embodied. Don't just pick one thing over the other. My mom is opening the doors, probably saying something like, that's loud or something like that. So art and science are for confronting mortality. So that's what we got to do. Shine like the sun of the skull and just like be here present. We're witnesses to life and death. Don't have favorites. And Hidden Night is saying claim your happy place, which is very much the sun card, right? We're saying like, have fun. Go to the inner child place. Like, that wasn't probably the best guitar, but I was having a lot of fun, right? So who gives a shit, ultimately? I mean, I wasn't pulling a Van Halen, but I was kind of doing my thing. So that you do your thing. Be you. Own it. Kick ass. Take names. It's the wise move. Don't just take sides. Know that even information and knowledge is a process of us trying to understand the process of death and life and mortality and all those things. And ultimately, the way to get out of maybe too heavy of a mood or something is to claim your happy place. Do it responsibly, but get in your heart and be joyful. Hit me up for readings if you want. No podcast until tomorrow, I guess. We're back on schedule tomorrow. And yeah, I love giving readings. Hit me up. Just know that today is a day of power. It's a 10-10 portal, and that you are here divinely, and there are no mistakes. We all shine on like the moon, the stars, and the sun, right? That's what it's all about. Have a good day, guys.